talk about a fun, healthy, and easy combination, fruit and pizza. This simple recipe will only take you about 15 minutes, and you can try it with any other fruit that you may have on hand or that your family likes. First, you're gonna need your knife, a cutting board, mixing bowl, spoon, and a cookie cutter or something to cut circles with into the tortillas. Using whole wheat tortillas is a way to increase the nutritious value of this dish. So you can begin by using your cookie cutter or anything that can cut circles. I'm using a jar lid. Cut the circles and set them aside. In a bowl, mix the yogurt, honey, vanilla, and orange juice until they are fully blended together. Plain, non-fat Greek yogurt is a healthier alternative to other sugary options. It's been strained, which makes it thicker than other yogurts. And it's high in protein, keeping you and your little ones fuller for longer. Greek yogurt is also a great source of calcium, which is good for your bones, and serves as a probiotic, which helps your gut with digestion. You can just mix it with fruit for a healthy snack or even for dessert. Make sure to rinse your fresh fruit before you begin cutting to get rid of all the unwanted dirt and bacteria. Then slice the strawberries and cut the grapes in half. You'll also want to drain the juices from the mandarins and pineapples. If you have children, they might enjoy helping to spread the yogurt mixture onto the tortillas and topping the pizza with fruit. That's everything. Your quick and delicious fruit pizza is ready to be served.
Poor Rachel's been having the worst luck ever since cousin Julia came to California. Oh, thank you for letting your boyfriend take me to the dance. Sorry he dumped you for me. Oh no, Sundance, don't die. Professor, how do you know if someone's a witch?
Here, read this book.
She can't be seen in photographs. Oh, Rachel. Welcome to Library Science Theater 3000 Movie Night, where we watch the most ridiculous and cheesy movies streaming on Hoopla. Tonight's feature is a 1978 made-for-TV movie directed by horror master Wes Craven and starring Linda Blair, best known for her role as Regan in The Exorcist. Visit hoopladigital.com to start watching. And if you're looking to take your viewing experience to the next level, download our Bad Movie Bingo cards or try one of these witchy party ideas. Beat the heat with this green, foamy tropical punch. Set the mood with some creepy candlelight. Create glowing faces using photographs and candle holders. Tune in next week for more Library Science Theater 3000.
Hi, I'm Shasta Brown. I am your guest mentor for Studio NPL, and we're actually going to be talking about how to make a quilt with scraps from scratch with no machines. So the first thing that you want to do is just if you have some extra fabric, doesn't matter what color, any combination that you want. And then you're going to take these scraps of fabric and you're going to cut them in squares, triangles, all different shapes. But for today, we're going to keep it really simple. So we're going to do squares. You're going to cut your squares in 3 inches, 4 inches, whatever your fabric allows. And then you're going to put them together in a pattern similar to this. You're going to have a white and a blue. You're going to alternate the colors so that you have a nice pattern. And this particular pattern is actually called a 9 patch because there are 9 pieces to this particular pattern. And then once you get those cut, you're going to start sewing them together. You're going to end up with something similar to this. Anybody can do it. It's a straight stitch, needle and thread, put the 2 pieces together, sew them, and then open them up and sew the next one. Once you get all of your pieces sewn together, you can start to get a bigger and bigger and bigger quilt, however big you want it to go. And this is what your grandmas and grandma just did. They took scraps from where they've made their shirts and their skirts and the different pants, and they put them together and they've made a patchwork quilt. Once you get all of the pieces together, you're going to have a larger piece, something similar to this. So once you have your entire quilt, however big that you want it to be and whatever pattern you want it to be, then we're going to actually stitch it together. We're going to quilt it. So you have your quilt top, and then you want to have a middle piece, which is called batting. A lot of times it's just cotton, really, really soft, and then you have a backing fabric. Whatever color you want it to be, it doesn't have to be anything that somebody else likes, whatever you like. Then you're going to put them together in a sandwich with the middle piece, the bottom, and then your quilt top. And this is what makes a quilt unique because we're going to stitch all of it together. When your grandmas and your great-grandmothers and even maybe your moms, when they were quilting, they actually would put them on a much larger frame. But if you have something similar to this, you basically make a sandwich, tighten it up so that it's just enough where the fabric moves. You don't want it too tight so that you can't get your needle in it, but you don't want it too loose either. So this works out really good. Most of the time when you're stitching these, you want to have a pattern, but you can also just do straight stitching. To start out, that's probably the easiest thing to do. Initially, you're going to want to have a larger needle than what I'm using, so this one's kind of small. And then you just want to start stitching along the edges. So what we're going to do is we're going to start stitching beside this row and mimic that on all the way around every one of them. So we're going to put our thread in. We're going to pop it through the bottom. I'm going to sit down here. If you have a smaller one, you can actually get the smaller ones like this instead of having a really long one or a really big one. And that might make it easier if you don't want to have anything that's really, really big because it's going to be easier to handle if it's a smaller piece. And I've already stitched some of the pieces in here. So that's what we're going to be duplicating on this one. They will tell you that if you can get 8 stitches to an inch, that is a master. I don't get quite that many. And so we just start stitching up and down. If you have the ability to put a lot of stitches on your needle, that's great too. Usually it's 3 or 4 because you want your stitches to be as close to the same length as possible. And you can also draw designs if you wanted to have something different than a straight line. and then you just work through the entire quilt, block by block, and that's it. So while all of this was very simple, very concise, you could get a lot more detailed. The quilt that's in front of me is a quilt that was done by hand. So the pieces that are on top were hand appliqued to the background, and then all of the grid that you see was completely hand quilted, actually in this same frame. It took a long time, it's very tedious, you have to mark your grids so that you get everything really straight, but basically it was nothing but time, hands, and threads. Hope you enjoyed this. Get some fabric and happy quilting.
Hey everybody, this is Frank here with another paper mache project. This time I'm making this goat head. As you can see, I've already made this armature mostly out of cardboard, and I'm going to show you how to do that with some progress shots that I've taken up to this point. I know this looks kind of ambitious, so if you maybe want to try a smaller size, or if you think you can use aspects of this project in a paper mache project you're interested in, please follow along with me. I'm learning this as I go along too, so let's get going. First, I did a drawing of all the parts I thought I needed after looking at some reference photos of goats. I didn't use everything here exactly the same, but it definitely helped me get an understanding of the different parts. First, I made this tube out of cardboard. Then I cut out a circle and cut out small triangles on opposite sides. This way I can make it curved. And this is also about the same size as the end of this tube. And as you can see here, I just tape it right on. Then I cut out these two shapes about 2/3 the length of the tube that we have made, and then taped them together, and then taped them to the tube, which is our snout. I ended up also making them a little bit more pointed. And then I made kind of like a half pipe with this cardboard, and that goes underneath here, and I've got it tight up near the nose but more open in the back, and I just tape it on just like that. And then I start making the horns. Here I just make cylinders, each one a little bit smaller than the one before, and I make two at the same time so that the horns are equal size. And every time I tape another link on, I just make it slightly curved. Attach the horns to the rest of the armature by holding them where I want them and then taping them in place. And then I add a lot of tape so that they stay in place. And next, I want to thicken up a few areas. So I just use some paper and shape it roughly in the size of what would be a nose, and I tape that on. I use a lot of tape. And then I want to thicken up the brows, so I make a shape out of some paper there and tape that on. Do this on both sides and try to make them as even as possible. And then it looks like this. Next, I want to thicken up the jaws a little bit. And so I do the same process with paper, tape them on. Next, I attach a neck. I do this by making a cylinder and cutting one triangle out of one side and attaching it a little bit so it's a little bit tighter or right around the top of the neck. And I attach that to the back of the head. Next, I make an ear out of a long shape, 2 ears, out of a long shape that's round on one side and flat on the other. And I curve that and attach it like so. And then I make this little pocket that will be the goatee. Once I've taped that on, it's looking pretty good. And then I tape the bottom shut, or the end shut, after cramming it with a lot of paper and some cardboard, a lot of scraps. And that's where I am.